Well, the world has still gone nutty, buddy, even downright cruddy, buddy. Wish I missed the past, buddy, but there's still Buddycast. No, don't be naughty, go meet everybody here on Buddycast.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the founder and host of Buddycast, Nick Sorensen.
Hello, buddies. Welcome to another episode of everybody's favorite show, Buddycast. I'm your host, Nick Sorensen. And Jim, I told you that'd be an interesting theme song, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Did you sing that?
No, a good buddy of mine did for me. When I started out the show, I'm like, I need a fun, catchy theme song to get people in the mood for the show. And there it was.
Yeah, it's great. It's really cool.
Thank you. A shout out to my buddy Tommy Link. He's the one who sang that. So
okay.
Yep. So for our buddies out there, this is my buddy Jim Garland. How you doing today, Jim?
Very good. Very good.
Awesome. Jim is the owner of Reflections in Lancaster, PA, a very highly rated restaurant. Jim, tell us first up how you got interested in culinary arts.
Well, back in the day, everybody likes cake, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my mom was a pretty good cook. And I think if you talk to most chefs, they'll tell you that they basically got it from their mothers. All right. So mom said, if I made the cake, I could eat as much as I want. So, yeah. So I, needless to say, made a lot of cakes, and at first they were like box mixes. And then we started making them from scratch and progressed from there. And then when I turned 16, I got a job at Elby's Big Boy Restaurant. And worked there I was there for like 2 years as a breakfast cook and so on. And eventually my parents found out I wanted to go to the Culinary Institute of America. And so that's where I ended up going to school and loved it.
Sweetness. From then on, what inspired you to open a restaurant?
Well, as a chef, everybody's dream is to have, your dream is to have your own business. All right. And, as a chef, it's a restaurant. So I was lucky. I worked really hard and I was in the right place at the right time. My investors were real estate people. And as a hobby, they would buy these restaurants or bars that were belly up. They were like dive bars. All right. And I worked for the first one that they had done. And the gentleman that I worked for, this was about 2 years after I got out of school. And the gentleman that I worked for was, he was, I impressed him quite a bit. Okay. So I left there after about 2 years and I went to another restaurant in Lancaster. And they opened up their second they were in the process of opening up their second restaurant and found out the guy that they were setting up in business didn't know how to cook. So the real estate investor's wife was not happy. And she said, you better find me a chef now.
Ooh.
So they came and got me and we negotiated a little bit. I met him at their house and he's like, I said, give me a week to think about this. And he goes, well, what's the problem? He goes, and I said, well, I got a week's paid vacation coming up. Because I'll give you a week's paid vacation. And he's real gruff, He says, I got a condo in Ocean City, Maryland. I'll give you a week's paid vacation. I'm like, oh, cool. And I said, well, give me a couple of days to think about it, right? And he looks right at me and he goes, you call me tomorrow by midnight, I'll give you $1,000 cash. I thought for about 30 seconds and I said, I'll take the job. So basically, so I did that and worked it was tough. I mean, I worked probably the first 7 weeks without a day off, and I was working from like 9 in the morning until 1 a.m. every day. And then after that, I got a day off, and I cut my hours back to like 9 to 11 every day, except for the one I had off. And, but yeah, we did that for a long time. And, but you know what? I don't regret it. At one point we, owned 6 restaurants. We started out with Reflections, and that took off like a rocket. It just was unbelievable when it first opened. And this year we'll be celebrating our 39th year in business.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So, but yeah, we ended up having 3 Carlos and Charlie's. We had a place called Portofino that they had opened up with another gentleman that they set up, and nobody got along, none of the investors and the chef, and they came to us with different scenarios and said, why don't you take it over? And we said, look, we promised our other chefs that we would do that with them. And finally we decided, okay, look, we'll do it. Right. So we did that. And, so then we had that, and then we had one of our chefs asked us to go in partners with him on another restaurant and someplace down in Maryland. And so that's how we ended up having like 6 restaurants, and I was the chef partner. So we did that for quite a few years, almost 19 years. And I finally got tired of being the relief cook. So I looked at my ex-partner one day and I said, look, I'm done. I said, we need to make different arrangements here. So we ended up selling off some of the restaurants, and 3 of our managers bought us out of the Carlos and Charlie's. My ex-partner bought me out of Portofino and turned it into a place called Stubby's, which worked out really well. And then I bought him out of Reflections, and I've had Reflections now on my own for 20 years.
Nice.
So, yeah.
For our buddies out there who aren't familiar with Reflections, tell us about it.
Okay. Well, Reflections is a casual upscale restaurant. We have great burgers. In fact, our burgers are I get them custom blended from a company out of Philadelphia. It's short rib, brisket, dry aged, strip loin, and filet trimmings. And they eat like steak burgers. I know everybody has a steak burger, but these are truly a good steak burger. I can do anything I want there. And as a Culinary Institute graduate, that's what I wanted to do. I did not want to limit myself in any way. I wanted to be able to, if I saw something really good at the market and said, wow, that fish looks really great, like a really nice piece of halibut, do halibut with like a bacon, corn, and leek sauce, Currently, we do one of our dishes that's a real favorite is a crispy salmon. So what we do is when we cut the salmon in portions, we leave the skin on and crisp the skin up. All right. And then you finish it in the oven. So it gets really crispy, but it's not cooked really hard. Right. Because you don't want to overcook it. You want to leave it moist. Okay. So then we serve that on top of Brussels sprout and butternut squash hash. Okay. And do a little bit of a maple drizzle on top. All right. So that's one of the dishes, and that's a real favorite. We do a lot of, with the COVID, things got a little rough, and we've had to kind of reinvent ourselves. Okay. So we do these small plates. Okay. And we have, when we cut the fresh salmon, you have the tail pieces and you have the belly pieces and, different things like that. And the chef used to make soup out of them. Well, the soup was, it was good, but after a day or so, the fat content in the soup would come to the top, and it wasn't, I had to find something else. So I took all that and I turned them into salmon fritters. Ooh. Which, people thought I was crazy. I went in there one day and I took the trimmings, and I breaded them and I deep fried them, and then I served them on like slider buns with coleslaw and a little bit of a remoulade sauce. Okay, which is kind of like a spicy Russian dressing. Okay, and people were raving about them, and we still sell. It's almost to the point where I have to buy salmon to make fritters. So, but yeah, we have really good salads. Another thing that I did when I was there was I came up with a recipe for braised pork shoulder or pork butt. So we do a Guinness braised. I developed a rub. So I take these pork shoulders and I rub them down with this rub, which has got like cumin and black pepper and chili powder and brown sugar and all these different seasonings. We leave it overnight. Then we sear it in a roasting pan the next day, and with onions, diced onions, and then I cover it with Guinness beer. All right, and then a little trick to, if you want to braise anything, cover it with film wrap. All right. People say, well, isn't that going to melt in the oven? And I said, no. You got to cover it with the film wrap. So you seal it really good. Okay. And then cover that with aluminum foil. By doing that, the film wrap seals in the juices. And then you roast it in the oven for about 4 hours, which just really, the flavors are amazing. So, and the new chef is actually going to use that for a Cuban and a couple of different, she's using it for a burger tonight too. But yeah, so that was one of my inventions. Oh boy. Another one was, in fact, one of the guys that was with me for like 25 years, and the two of us ran the kitchen together during the COVID. And he had all these notebooks of recipes that I had come up with when I was a chef there. All right. And he brought them in the one day, and my manager and one of the bartenders are looking at him going, these look great. Why don't we run any of these? So he's like, well, go ahead, pick whatever you want out. Right. So he picked out this dish called Carlos and Charlie's chicken. And it's a little different, so I'll give your viewers a real easy recipe to do. So what we do is we take like chicken tenderloins, you saute them in a pan with onions, peppers, and mushrooms. Okay, so you get that, and then you hit it with a little bit of white wine, some blackening season. Just go to the store and buy yourself some blackening season. We make our own. Hit it with some blackening season and dust it with just a little bit of flour. Okay. Blend it all together. And then at the very end, hit it with a little bit of ranch dressing. All right. And you got to be careful. If it's too hot, the ranch dressing will break. Okay. So that's at the end, you hit it with the ranch dressing, and then you throw in some diced tomatoes and flip it all around. And it's just delicious. And then we serve that on rice. So there's a easy recipe.
First off, I'm very happy that I ate dinner before this episode, but now I'm hungry again.
Okay.
But secondly, I got to ask this, buddy.
Yeah.
What's the secret to a good steak?
Well, first of all, you don't want to cut into it while you're cooking it. Okay. And you need to let it rest at the very end after you cooked it, and you want to move it around. Like we have a really nice infrared charbroiler. Okay. And to get your diamond marks on it, okay, like a strip loin, and you got to get a good cut of meat. All right. You want to, ideally, if you can afford it, go to Costco and get prime New York strips. They're delicious. And what makes them so good is the fat content. Okay. Fat carries the flavor. It's the reason Haagen-Dazs is so good. Okay. Because of the fat content. All right. So then what you do is you put it at a 45-degree angle on both sides, and don't be afraid to flip it, occasionally, because if you cook it too much on one side, what happens is the outside edge starts to seize up, and it will curl on you. All right. Because you've cooked it too much on one side. All right. So, and you want to season it with salt and pepper. You got to season it with salt and pepper. And if you really want to go, after you've, cooked it most of the way on your charbroiler, you can flip it in a pan and start butter basting it, and with maybe a little bit of garlic. All right. And some parsley flakes, and that butter But wait, here again, you're adding fat to it. The butter basting does a really nice job. So yeah, and let your steak rest before you cut into it. Because if you don't, then what happens is as soon as you cut into it, the blood vessel, the cells will, they're really big and they'll just bleed, and you'll lose a lot of flavor.
So let it rest. Don't cut it. Yes. Don't be Mr. Dive right into it the minute you get it on the plate. Just give it a minute.
Yes,
Lay a little blessing over it, and and then go for it.
Yeah, salt and pepper, definitely. Yeah.
Solid. So you mentioned it before. You've come up with some good menu items just on the spot. Like you've seen something at the market and gone, I want that. How often do you add in new menu items?
Well, currently our chef is reworking the menu. All right. We run specials every week and almost daily, actually. She gets an idea and I say, go for it. I want all my chefs to be creative. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that's, I promote that. And because that's what's, we work really hard in the restaurant business. It's not an easy business. You're on your feet all the time and the hours are fairly long. It's not as bad as it used to be because, through COVID with trying to find employees, they have a little bit of, you have to treat them better than what we were treated back in the day, yeah. So, so she does pretty well. She runs a burger of the week. She runs specials, and I was out for about a little over 2 weeks, and I just got in there this week, and she had just transitioned into being our interim chef. So I've talked to her a lot this week, and I told her, I said, look, I'm going to start mentoring you. I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you with the purchasing. I'm going to help you. We'll bounce ideas off of each other. Because, back in the day at the Culinary Institute, we would sit down and, we'd have study groups. But, instead of like studying, law or whatever, we were talking food. And it was a lot of fun. You get a lot of ideas. And the way things used to be, we would meet when I did the ordering. I would meet with my suppliers. My salesmen would come in and they would talk to us. And, they would do demos. They would bring in samples. He'd say, hey, I got this new product. You got to try it, And so it was great. It was, you wouldn't believe the amount of ideas you would get. And it's I look back on it and in 50 years of being a chef, oh God, I can't even, tell you how many things that I've learned, but so I told her, I said, look, I'm going to help you out. And she's looking forward to it. She talked to my general manager today and she says, this is great. I can't believe he's going to do this. So, so I'm kind of excited about it too.
Brilliant. Yeah. Now, buddy, don't go anywhere. I have to play a quick word from our sponsors. So we'll be right back.
All right.
Hi, Buddycast. Today's Buddycast has been brought to you by Glass Growers Gallery, where they showcase functional artisan handcrafts of jewelry, pottery, glass, wood, metal, socks, and more. They also deliver within a 12-mile radius. They're located in the heart of downtown Erie by a bunch of our other business buddies. You can find them at 10 East 5th Street. You can also find our buddy Emily, who did a Buddycast to explain the business more. She did a fantastic job. Please check out that episode. You want to learn more about them? Call today at 814-453-3758 or visit their website at glassgrowersgallery.com. Tell my buddy Emily that Buddy sent you and Buddy says hello. Now go be someone's buddy. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Buddycast. And
that's pretty good.
Thank you. That was Glass Growers Gallery. They are a truly fantastic small business here in Erie, Pennsylvania, and very good buddies as well.
Good.
Just to let you know, Jim, we don't call you guests on this show. We call you buddies because you're a buddy.
Well, hey, it's nice to be your buddy.
Absolutely. So, buddy, how you were talking all about your staff earlier, you were talking all about, your new cook, your general manager. How much does having a staff sharing your same mission, sharing your same ideas mean to you with this business?
Tremendous. I could not do what I do without having the kind of staff that I have. Um, they're my family, okay? And my general manager is she's been with me about, I don't know, got to say 8 or 9 years. My daytime dishwasher, all right? He was my first hire, and he was in IU 13. I don't know if you know what that is. It's kind of like uh, he's not. I guess he's higher functioning. He's not like autistic or anything, but he's developmentally disabled. Okay,
Mhm.
and I interviewed him, and I hired him in 1984, and he's still with me.
Wow.
So yeah, it's amazing, and we have a secret handshake. And it doesn't matter where I'm at. If I got done in the kitchen, and I went out, and I'd be sitting out at the bar, and chatting with some of my customers, and I could be talking to one of my bankers, or I could be talking to whoever I'm talking to out there. He'd come out if it was he was getting done, and we'd do our little secret handshake, and people always got a kick out of that. So and he's very well liked. All right. My bartender during the day, well, actually it was during the day. Now our hours are 4 to 9 Monday through Friday, and 12 to 9 on Saturday now. But she's been with us. God, I think she's been with us since 2008. Yeah, so like 15 years. So it's amazing. But you have to treat them like their family. I mean, you
Mhm.
just you take care of you treat them like you want to be treated. All right, and it,
Exactly.
it it all comes back to you.
Mhm.
I mean, I love my employees. Without them, I am nothing. I mean, I can't do it by myself. So, as a matter of fact, we talked about vacations, because we're not. I mean, we're not overly staffed, and as a small restaurant, I mean, I have 20 employees. So for vacations this year, I looked at my general manager, and I said, look, I said, why don't we close 4th of July week? And then I said, you guys all take your vacations. I said, you don't have to worry about the restaurant, and you can all go out and enjoy, your week off. And when I talked to her tonight, because she's given me rides to
Mhm.
and from, work, because I can't drive yet because of my just getting my hip done.
Mhm.
Um, so she had tears in her eyes. She said, my girls said they don't remember what it was like for her to have, 7 days off in a row. And she was like, she had tears in her eyes, and she thanked me, gave me a big hug. And, then we came home, so yeah, I love my employees. They're very special to me.
Number one, kudos to you for that idea. Number
Yeah.
two, you embody the spirit of one of my favorite sayings, which is, I treat the janitor the same way. I respect the janitor the same way I respect the CEO.
Oh, absolutely. No question. No question. I had a salesman years ago that told me, he goes, I had a friend that was a salesman that went in, and he would ignore the dishwasher. All right. So I don't know. I guess he moved around a little bit and got another job, and he went into this same operation maybe 5 years later, and he walked in, and lo and behold, the dishwasher was now the chef. All right. And didn't want to have anything to do with him because of the way he treated him when he was a dishwasher.
Bingo.
Yeah. So there you go.
It's all about how you treat people. It's all about
Oh, yeah.
and that's why
Yeah.
we here at Buddycast really embody that spirit of everybody's a buddy, because
Yeah.
you never know when
Yeah.
somebody's going to have an amazing story. You know.
Oh, yeah. It all comes back to you.
Mhm.
You get more than you give.
Exactly. So, buddy, I know this is like, and you mentioned this earlier in a previous question, but I know this is like asking who your favorite child is. But what
Hmm.
are some of your favorite menu items? Like, what are some items that you just like? If you could order them now for dinner, what would you be ordering?
Well, I have a lot of favorite menu items. It all depends on any given day. Like I got into a kick right before I went in on my surgery. We have the best tomato soup. It's so creamy and just delicious. Okay. And you know what goes best with tomato soup? All right. That's a good grilled cheese. But you have to make a good grilled cheese. Okay. So I have some of the best multi-grain wheat bread. All right. I wouldn't even really call it wheat bread. It's like a multi-grain, just really, really, really good bread. Right. So you put that on you butter it, put it on the grill, and you take like 2 slices of American, 2 slices of Swiss. Okay. You take some raw red onions, throw them on the grill with a little bit of butter, just get them lightly cooked. All right. Put them on the sandwich, a couple slices of bacon, and then you take a slice of a good fresh tomato, locally grown. All right. Put that on, slap it on the grill, flip it over on the other side, and put it right in the sandwich. Pull it off, cut it in half, put it on a plate with a cup of tomato soup, and dip your sandwich in it. It's just delicious. And that's comfort food and then some. Okay. But we have there's another recipe for you. We have a pork chop that we brine. Okay. So when you brine it, it breaks down the fibers, which makes it more tender. All right. And then we lard it. Okay. So larding it is injecting fat into the muscle. All right. Here again, fat, carries the flavor. So that, and we serve that, we charbroil that probably about a 12 to 14 ounce pork chop. And then we serve that with an apple craisin chutney. And that's just delicious. First time I ate one of those, I was like, wow, you could cook that thing well done and it still is juicy. One of my friends comes in and I've talked him into getting other menu items. And he said it was good, but I'm just going to order the pork chop. I always order the pork chop every time I come in, and that's what it is. So
he's one of those customers that could look at the entire menu and just go, I already know what I want. Why am I even looking at this thing?
Exactly. Oh yeah, totally, no question. We have a Cobb salad. We call it a Southern Cobb that is really good. If you think you're eating healthy, but this thing it's got blue cheese, bacon, hard-boiled egg, pecans, corn, tomatoes, carrots, avocado, and we serve it with a sweet Vidalia onion dressing, which is really, really delicious. Let me think. I was just talking to the chef because, now we're coming up with, it's seasonal things. Yellow tomatoes. Have you ever had a yellow tomato?
Have I had a yellow tomato before?
I'm not sure, but I know I have, and they're good.
I'm not sure.
Yellow tomatoes are less acidic. All right. So if you get the chance when they're in season, you need to eat some yellow tomato. Do that with good yellow tomato and even a good ripe red tomato. You can interchange the slices. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then do some fresh mozzarella. All right. A little bit of fresh basil and a little bit of balsamic drizzle on that. It's delicious. Ooh. So what I do is I take these fresh yellow tomatoes and we do a thing called tomate concassé. All right. Tomate concassé is a fancy term for squeezing the seeds out and peeling them. You core it, cut an X on the other side, drop it into boiling water. You can see the skin start to release a little bit, and then you drop it, you take it out of that and put it into an ice bath, and then you peel it, cut them in half, squeeze the seeds out, and then I make a yellow tomato marinara out of that. And the yellow color is so vibrant. We did a flounder parmesan with that. And, with flounders, very delicate and delicious. All right. So you saute that up, get it golden brown, and then you serve the yellow tomato marinara on top of that. And here again, a little bit of balsamic drizzle, and away you go. So there you go.
I keep looking off to the side because we have the first lady on the side here who's taking notes while we go down.
Okay. All right.
She loves to cook.
Okay. Well, if she's going to do that yellow tomato marinara, it's pretty easy. I told you how to peel them. All right, and seed them. Okay. So then what you do is you take and dice some yellow onions, white onions. Okay. Dice some onions. Um, get a like a heavy bottom saute or heavy bottom pot. Okay. Put some extra virgin olive oil in there. Throw some garlic in there, and you saute your garlic until it gets fragrant. All right. You don't want to burn the garlic. You want it just lightly browned. All right. Because if you burn it, it gets bitter. All right. So just lightly brown. And as soon as that happens, put your onions in there. Okay. Which will cool it down a little bit and stop the garlic from browning. All right. So you cook that until the onions are opaque. All right. Add white wine to that. All right. Stir that around and then kind of crunch up your tomatoes, put that in the pot and let that reduce. All right. And when it's reduced to the point where you like the thickness, then you add a little bit of salt. Okay. And I finish it with a little bit of whole butter. And then there's your sauce. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
A follow-up question that just popped into my head. Let's say there's someone that comes into your restaurant and has a dietary need, like keto or
Oh yeah.
things
Gluten free.
Yeah.
Gluten. A lot of gluten allergies now. We have stars on our menu. Okay. Excuse me. We have stars on our menu. Hi, Abby. We have stars on our menu that let people know these are gluten-free items. And our crab cakes are actually gluten-free.
No way.
Which, it's basically, it's very little, a little bit of mayonnaise. I think there's a couple of eggs in there, some seasonings and some scallions. And we mix that up. And then you add your crab meat and fold in the, we do claw and special, fold that in. And once that's mixed, then we take jumbo lump and fold that in because you want to break the lumps up. But not many places have gluten-free crab cakes because they use the either crackers or breadcrumbs or bread cubes to bind it. All right. People have peanut allergies. And you want to be really careful with that because you don't want to get it anywhere near any kind of peanuts, we do everything that we possibly can to, make sure people have, good experiences. I had a guy when I was at the Portofino, he had so many allergies. He had them written on a business card and he would send it in to the kitchen. And I got this business card and I'm looking at it and going, well, what can you eat? I'm going, okay. But, we figured it out, there's a lot of things he could eat. So, I served him, I think we had linguine with, like a red clam sauce. He couldn't have the linguine, but he could have the red clam sauce and, eat it kind of like a soup. Yeah.
Sweetness. So when it comes to your restaurant reflections,
yes.
What are your hopes and dreams?
Well, right now I am kind of winding down my career. Okay. There are days when I miss cooking, but you know what? I want to be able to go out and play golf, and I want to get out to Florida in the winter. And so right now I'm mentoring my general manager to take over for me. She runs operations, and I'm the bookkeeper and mentor. Okay. So I've set her up on a plan, basically a work to earn plan, similar to what I had. You have to pay it forward. Okay. So that's what I'm doing with her. I'm paying it forward. And so I'm going to say probably she's into it about 1.5 years now. So in about 8.5 years, then we go to the next step of the plan. She goes to the bank, borrows some money to buy me out. And then I say, hasta vista, baby. I'm going to go. Yeah. So, but I want it to continue,
Yes.
I want people to always be able to go into reflections. I want to be there for the 50th anniversary. you know, and she also told me, so I eat and drink there for free for the rest of my life. So I'm hoping she has it for a long time.
Sweetness.
Yeah.
You can bring guests, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. You need to
Sweet.
come down. You need to come down.
Oh,
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah. Well, and if you want to check it out, our website is reflections-restaurant.com. All right. And we also have a Facebook page. So you can see pictures of some of the food that we've done and, pictures of what the building looks like. The building is over 250 years old. It's always been a hotel tavern. Back in the day, it was a stagecoach stop. It was a stable, livery, post office, general store, but it was always a tavern.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, follow-up question. Do you have any plans for the big 50th?
No, haven't thought that far ahead yet.
One day at a time.
Yeah, one day at a time. Just try to get through. Yeah, try to get through one day. Sometimes it's so hectic that you just can't, you got to worry about, let's get through tomorrow. Let's get through today. I've got these parties today. We cater the Lancaster airport is probably a 5 to 10 minute drive up the road from us.
Ooh.
So we cater for like NetJets, Air Colin, the private jet. So that keeps. I used to do it, and now my general manager does it because these people, they send you in what they want, and they want what they want, and they want it when they want. All right, and it doesn't really matter what your hours are. This morning she brought in breakfast for 2 crew members at 6:30 in the morning. So, and I've gotten last minute orders for chocolate lovers snack packs where, I did strawberries dipped in chocolate. They wanted a fruit of my choice. I did pineapple, and I did a seafood lovers like with roasted lobster tail, seafood ceviche, which is, that's raw seafood. Like usually I put in like shrimp and scallops, and you can put a firm flesh fish in there if you want, but I usually just do shrimp and scallops with onions, peppers, and lemon juice, lime juice, and orange juice, a little bit of chili powder, salt and pepper, and you marinate that overnight. I put a little bit of extra virgin olive oil in there, marinate that overnight, and the acid actually cooks it. So it's a pretty famous Spanish dish. So
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. So you answered my next question. Where can we learn more about you? We can go to your
Yeah.
restaurant, or we can go to
yeah.
your website.
Yeah, or the actually, and we also have a Facebook page. So type in Reflections and pull up the Facebook page.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So now I got 2 more questions for you to make this an official Buddycast. You ready for these?
Okay.
The
Yep.
first one is brought to us by my buddy Jonas Kane at #positivity. He
Okay.
wants to know, in your own words, what does it mean to be someone's buddy?
Well, to be there when they need you. Okay, obviously. If they call out to you and they're having problems, you need to be a good listener. All right. You absolutely need to be a good listener. I tend to talk a lot. All right. But sometimes you just have to listen. All right. And sometimes that's all they need is somebody to listen to them. All right. And, somebody to push them a little bit when they need to be pushed. All right. Sometimes, people, they don't think they're as good as what they are, and, you have to be the one to say, you're really a lot better than what you think you are. And maybe once you convince them of that, it's amazing how people blossom. So, yeah. Okay. And obviously treat them the way you want to be treated.
That's the golden rule.
Yep.
Brilliant. So the final question I have for you tonight is what we call the ultimate Buddycast buddy question. You ready for this one?
Yep.
For anyone out there who dreams of opening their own restaurant one day, what's your advice to them?
uh, I was going to say don't, but
You get that a lot.
well, part of the problem, we learned at the Culinary Institute, 80% of new restaurants go out of business within the first year. Okay. And the problem with that is undercapitalization. All right. And mismanagement. Okay. So if you were going to open up your own restaurant, first of all, a good location would be ideal. All right. My location is a high B location. I'm not, I'm not in a really, I have a friend that used to work for me, and she has got an A+ location. I mean, the traffic that goes by her place is amazing. All right. So that kind of helps you a lot, So that being said, you need to make sure that people ask me what's the most important thing in a restaurant. All right. And you say, I'll ask them that, and they'll say, well, good food, good service. That's not the most important thing. Consistency is the most important thing. All right. That guy that comes in there and likes that burnt grilled cheese is coming in there because that's what he likes, and he wants the same thing every time. All right. So you have to be consistent. Okay. And, you need to make sure you got to watch your numbers. My ex-partner used to say I was one of the few chefs that was just as good with his food as he was with his numbers. And, so that's really important. And you have to know your numbers. You have to stay on top of it. I have some programs that every Monday I go in there and I plug, our purchases and our labor costs and that thing into this program. So I know what my numbers are every Monday for the previous week. And be ready to work a lot. It's just as a new owner, that's what you have to do. It's a lot of work, but it's fulfilling. Okay. I've met so many good people, and I've been able to do so many really cool things in my life. I just feel blessed and very lucky.
Mm-hmm. So we're talking hard work, knowledge, kindness, and location. All in the recipe for a great business.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes, definitely.
Wonderful. Well, buddy, thank you so much.
All right.
On Buddycast. Stick around for a minute. We'll chat for a minute afterwards.
Yeah, I will. All right.
Yeah, but
thanks. All right.
Before we end this episode, though, I have one favor to ask you.
Okay.
Whatever you're going to do today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, and I know you're going to do this, go be someone's buddy.
There you go. All right. I try to do that every day. Try to,
That's why I know the job.
Yeah. You got to call your buddies up and you got to ask them how they're doing.
Bingo.
It's not always all about you.
Bingo.
Okay.
For all my buddies out there, this is my buddy Jim Garland. Please, if you're in Lancaster area, please check out Reflections. You won't regret it. I'm your host, Nick Sorensen. Thank you for joining us on another episode of everybody's favorite show.
Well, the days are going fast, buddy, we've got to make them last, buddy, before they've all gone past, buddy, tune in to Buddy